It's Saturday, July 16th, 2016. Alex Jones here with the most dire geopolitical alert that we have ever issued in my 21 years on air. Interviewing top political scientists, Pentagon insiders, you name it. We have never issued an alert this serious. Now, several times over the years, we've come out and said this alert is the most serious as the ticking clock goes towards midnight or doomsday, Armageddon. But out of those alerts in the past on this road to global war, this is over the top, the most dangerous time we have ever been. And the Pentagon agrees with me. Now, I'm going to lay out some of these facts right now and put some articles up on screen. But this is so serious. My one day off before I go to Cleveland to cover the RNC. My one day to say bye to my kids, going on that dangerous mission that this republic demands I go on. I'm up here working because I understand if we don't avert what's unfolding, my children, your children don't have a future. Now, let's walk through a few of the things that have happened. Putin has come out in the last month twice. We've done reports on this and said they're preparing for nuclear war, and the West is moving weapons up against its border, and they may have to strike, and that the world is in incredible danger, and he can't believe Western media isn't reporting this, and begged for a global debate about it. A discourse, a dialogue. The communist Chinese, who are horribly evil, but that our government's armed and given the missiles to be able to hit the United States effectively, has been moving into the South China Sea. And now, as we speak, for stories on Infowars.com from mainstream news, but overseas, not here, that major U.S. and Chinese fleets are lining up against each other, and the communist Chinese president said they're preparing for all-out war, including possible World War III. This is coming out of the communist Chinese leadership's mouths. They've never talked like this, even during the Korean War. Unprecedented. Then, you've got the coup that supposedly failed in the last 24 hours in Turkey, the gateway to Europe, with all the jihadists flooding in. Erdogan is backed by the jihadists, and it looks like they've gotten back control. You've got that craziness going on. You've got all of these different governments going bankrupt and riots from Venezuela to Nigeria. You've got the Pentagon, the Ministry of Defense in England, and others saying the world is in the most dangerous position it's ever been. And then you got Obama coming out and saying the world's the safest it's ever been and our economy's the best it's ever been. We have derivatives all over the world coming due. We have Deutsche Bank, much bigger than Lehman Brothers, going down in its stock, plunging. That crisis has already begun. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. I just got intense chills. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of different things are coming together to create the perfect storm. And then you've got all these historians, all these geopolitical scientists, all these political scientists, all these analysts from Russia, England, the U.S., Canada, Australia, Germany, it doesn't matter, saying we have all the same political things happening that led to World War I and World War II. Wars starting, all sorts of crises unfolding, and historically they don't know why, but since the time of the Romans, and the Chinese and the Japanese wrote about this too, that it seemed when there was earth changes and volcanoes and earthquakes, that was a harbinger of war as well. And guess what? Record levels earthquakes, record levels volcanoes ever recorded in modern history. For whatever reason. A lot of political scientists also tie it to not just the effects of what's happening inside our atmosphere, but what's happening in our solar system. They've correlated sunspots and things like that to economic collapse as well. We're entering that same cycle. That's Mr. Dent of Bain Capital, best-selling author, top guy at predicting things. He's got charts that bring all that in, and top corporations listen to him. I mean, there's just so much aligning that I don't think even governments quite understand. I don't completely know what's going on, but I can tell you one thing. We historically are in political and economic waters that are the most dangerous we've ever seen, because now we've got more than 50,000 nuclear weapons conservatively in operational use that are in working order right now, ready to be used. And we've got Western governments and the globalists, captained by George Soros and others, trying to exacerbate these crises and trying to add fuel to it and funding the Arab Spring and bringing 5 million jihadists into Europe and hundreds of thousands here conservatively, and then waging war on nationalists and people that try to put the brakes on all this and that try to stabilize our economies. They're trying to bankrupt us. They're bringing in people by the hundreds of thousands with TB every few months and other diseases and admitting they're not testing them and putting them in public schools with your kids. It's like the government is satanic or something. Russia is not pushing any of this stuff. China's pushing some, but it's all the people that run the United States and Europe are just basically like they're trying to destroy the planet. This is like a science fiction movie. I mean, these people are doing everything you do to bring the world into a world war. We have never been closer. The international groups that track all that, have the doomsday clock, say we've never been closer. And it's moving now towards midnight. We're past 2 minutes to midnight. And I tune into U.S. media, Western media. There's almost nothing about this. It's all fantasy footballs coming up. Everything's wonderful. You add that historically to the recipe, like we saw before World War I and World War II as well. The laissez-faire, everything's fine. I mean, it's like a Superman analogy where, the scientist is saying, look, the core is collapsing. We've got to evacuate. They're like, oh, shut up. Arrest him. It's biblical. Use whatever analogy you want, whatever allegory. I personally, in my gut, can feel it. Intellectually, I can see it. And it is surreal to not see more people involved, more people awake. We have, again, globalist movements to implode economies, world depression being set up, the third world collapsing due to globalist policies, opening the borders to bring them in, to bankrupt our economies and social welfare net, to bring in total tyranny. The most backwards, Stone Age, barbarous groups are being brought in and then given political power. This is modern 21st century warfare directed by the globalists at the top against all the nation states and all the individuals and against any type of independence, any type of intelligence. This is AI war. They admit they have computers making all of the major decisions. The stock markets are rigged. They admit the currencies are rigged. They now admit everything we told you decades ago. It's all rigged. And the rigged AI system the globalists are following, its algorithm is saying collapse everything, and the globalists will end up in control of everything. What if the AI is completely sentient and is actually setting up a plan to bring us all completely down? It's not like Skynet raining nukes down. It's Skynet just incrementally shutting everything off. All I know is whether it's Skynet, which by the way is a real Pentagon term before that movie came out, The Terminator, that's art imitating life, or whether it's just globalists they're engaging in worldwide economic siege, regardless, the ends are there. We are hurtling towards world war. And I hope in 6 months we aren't, sitting here with stuff radiating. I want to try to back this down, dial this down, and stop this. But you see all hell breaking loose with coups and economies imploding and migrants pouring over borders and all sorts of bizarre behavior going on. And our governments are telling us that if we try to prep or get prepared, we're terrorists. That tells you that they're planning to use this global crisis to bring in their total world government. But every major economist I talk to, historian we talk to, once you collapse something this complex, it doesn't come back. So if they think they're collapsing it to take control of it, that's delusional. No, they want a post-industrial world. It's the official UN plan, Agenda 21, Agenda 2030, and this is our own species waging war against us. They see us as a cancer, the globalists do. The truth is, they're the cancer. They're stopping innovation. They're stopping countries working together. They're sowing chaos. This has been an emergency World War III report, ladies and gentlemen. Let's debate about this. Let's spread this video out to everybody. I'm sure this video will get 5 or 6 million views on YouTube, millions on Facebook. That isn't enough, okay? It needs to get 100 million views. We need to force a debate, or you should shoot videos about this and talk about this and make this an issue here in the West where people are asleep at the switch, but the folks running our government, they're not asleep at the switch. They know what they're doing, and the Pentagon and others have been the ones stopping it, stopping the West funding ISIS and Al-Qaeda into Syria, stopping Obama overthrowing our allies. I mean, we have criminals in our government working against our country and everybody else. It's like Spectre. It's an international group attacking all the nation states and individuals. More reports coming. More reports coming. I'm about to get on a plane to Cleveland. We'll be having live reports there. We already have a team there on the ground. Notice all the hell breaking loose there. Black Lives Matter, the attempt to destabilize the United States, This is the civil unrest. It's happening all over the world. See, there's so many other points. Let's force a debate about this, and let's force a debate about who's using the crisis to get more power, who is, in many cases, creating the crises. Infowars.com is a rallying point. It's the front lines of the info war. You are the folks that built the info war, and I salute you for your fight. Now let's take it to the next level.
The globalists have controlled the mainstream media for a long time, but now they're expanding, making the weaponization even more vicious and deceptive. All the major networks are state-run.
We are partnering this year with the NFL.
The NFL has become a political weapon against the Second Amendment and pushes Obamacare. MSNBC tells us that our children belong to the state.
We have to break through our kind of private idea that kids belong to their parents or kids belong to their families and recognize that kids belong to whole communities.
The brainwashing media machine has been turned up on high, and it's time for humanity to double down on the true people's media and strike back against the tyrants that are destroying our civilization with their lies and fraud. We are the resistance. You are the resistance. You are the info war. It is more important than ever to realize that we are not the alternative media. We are the true media. The establishment dinosaur press is dying.
We are in an information war, and we are losing that war.
Join us at InfoWarsNews.com and PrisonPlanet.tv. Members can share their memberships with up to 11 people. By subscribing, you will literally be buying war bonds in the info war to expand our operation in the face of the tyrants. Join us at PrisonPlanet.tv.